First off, I'm going to have Pam Nolan, our town manager, stand up to give a few words.
If you don't mind, I'll sit because I've got some paper.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're here on a Saturday, and I have a lot of high-priced talent at this table. Really, I have the fire chief and the police chief, the fire marshal, one of our minimum housing inspectors.
Tony's coming at 1:30.
Paul Beauclair is down there, and he's one of our community policing officers. And who, am I missing anybody on
Tony
my
will be
team?
here at 1:30.
Oh, our building inspector, Tony Santilli, will be here. So you've got some big guns for the town. And we're all willing to be here today because this is an important, I don't think there's much more that's involved my time. I've been here 2 years, and that has involved my time more completely than the issue of URI student behavior in rentals in Narragansett. So I arrived 2 years ago, and we had the riot, what I called the riot of May 3rd, 2014 in Eastward Look. Now, that's really what sent us all in the town level into action, is because from May until the time the students came back in September in 2014, we, the police chief and I, Dean Hoxie, were very involved with URI and with the town council in trying to determine what we could do to make life better for the people that live in the neighborhoods of town that are so deeply affected by student behavior. Now, the people that are here are probably what we would call the good landlords. You're not the people who rent and live in Hawaii, and we do have that. So we set about trying to develop a program of how we could make the quality of life better for the people who live in affected neighborhoods. In preparing to do so, the town council had URI's officials. I'm talking about Dr. Tom Dooley, Dr. David Dooley, excuse me, there with his top executives at a meeting of the town council to determine what we could do. One thing we all agreed is we can work together more closely. And I know that Joe Berardi is here today from URI, and it's a good indication that we are working more closely than we ever have with URI. We formed an ad hoc committee, and that was about 11 people who studied what has been done up until the riot of 2014, May 3rd, 2014, and what we should do afterwards to make life better for the residents that we have living there. And this committee has met for a year, and Monday night they are going to present to the town council one of their findings. And this town council meeting at 6:30 Monday night in town hall in the chambers is going to be talking about limiting the number of people who are unrelated that can live together in one house, one residential home. So we expect it'll be very well attended. Among other things the council did since that time was they increased the fines from $100 to $500 each for people disturbing the peace, urinating or defecating in public, consumption of alcoholic beverages, unlawful possession or consumption, the host ordinance, and public nuisance social host. You need to know that the town council considers the issues with student rentals so serious that they raised these fees to $500. They also allowed us to hire one more police officer and one more minimum housing officer, as Dave represents. He was hired about a year ago in order to go out with the police on evenings on the weekends. So now the police will have a building inspector and a minimum housing official out with them on the weekends. So when the police get called to your house, it's very possible you're going to have somebody going in there who is a minimum housing officer. Now, when we started this process again, because there was a committee, a URI coalition, URI town coalition that worked for 10 years, or not 10 years, how long did they work, Dean?
Like 20 years.
20 years, Okay, and they had done a lot of the work. The ordinances that we did have in place were there because of the work that committee did. So this is post May 3rd, 2014 riot. I developed a 4-pronged strategy, and it was to increase police enforcement, to strengthen our ordinances, to have more URI involvement, and to have landlord and property managers' involvement. You were the seat that was not filled at our table, and now you exist. And as I've always told Ray Kegels here, this is what we needed, this is what we know will work. The chief and I know very deeply that your group has helped us already, immensely. And we feel that the town council has to recognize this group just like any other group in town. It's a strong, you've got a strong, active group, and I encourage you to keep it that way. As I said, we added more fees to the rental registration fee in order to cover the position of a new policeman and a new minimum housing inspector. Now, the cost of that is about $20,000 for the minimum housing inspector, about $74,250 base pay for police, because that's their pay plus their benefits, not including any overtime they might get after that. So the council is putting money where their mouth is. They're getting serious about this because we have to. So if you're wondering why we took out all these employees, my big guns, so to speak, in the town, said, yeah, I'll be there, it's because it's that important to us. We feel, and the chief and others will go over this more fully than I'm able to do so right now, but we know we've seen a change. Since you all have become involved, since the ad hoc committee has become involved, since the council and URI have become more involved, we've seen changes that are very positive for the community. But I will leave that to the other people here at the table to tell you what has taken place so far. So I'm here for any questions, and I'll turn it back to you, Lisa. Thank you.
So quick introduction again. We have Scott Partington, our fire chief. We have Dave Arnold, our fire marshal. We have Dave Green, who's our community housing inspector or officer. We have Dean Hoxie, who's our chief of police. We have Joe Berardi, who's our URI assistant director for community standards. We have Jennifer Bergeron. She's our representative from Liberty Mutual Insurance to help answer any insurance questions. Tony Santilli Jr., our building inspector, will be here about 1:30. That's why we put him towards the end of the table. And Attorney John Kenyon is here as well to answer any legal questions. And he also has some hot points that he wanted to share with you that every landlord should have. So first we're going to start off with our fire chief.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you. I'm privileged to be here. I think this is a wonderful idea. The interaction will probably be very productive, I'm sure. I am the fire chief. I've been employed with the town of Narragansett for nearly 25 years. Became the fire chief nearly 2 years ago, so November will be 2 years, and I'm very honored to do it. Love the job. There's a lot that goes along with it. I dragged along the fire marshal today. This is Captain Dave Arnold. He is primarily in charge of the fire prevention area. It's a lot to do. There's plans reviews, there's inspections, there's investigations. It's a lot of work in that department, and it's just him in that department. I am primarily tasked with operations of the whole department. I oversee Dave's division, and not only do I function as the fire chief, but I also function as the emergency manager director here for the town. So we do a lot of emergency management planning and preparation. So I have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I know sometimes I get a little long-winded. Pam likes to give me the hook and let me know that I'm talking a little bit too long, and I don't want to take up too much of the time of the others. But just to hash out how we operate. I know there's probably some questions related to that, and some other preparedness things that you can do as landlords, as homeowners, as residents here in the town. As you know, there's 3 stations here in Narragansett, 3 fire stations, north, center, and south. We have 8 on a shift at all times. There are 4 in the center of town, 2 at the other outlying stations, south and north. Here in the center of town, we operate a fire truck and rescue truck that are manned. So there are 4 there in the center of town, and there are 2 at each of the other outlying stations. So there are 8 fire personnel on duty at all times. We do fire, EMS. We're pretty much not a fire department, we're an all hazards department, I look at it. So we go to everything. You call as we come. There are questions that have come up, you know, why do we send a fire truck when it's a rescue call? It's a number of reasons. One, what we do is we cross-staff, at the outlying stations, which I refer to as north and south, we cross-staff a fire truck and a rescue truck. So there are only two people up there. We usually will send the fire truck initially to the call at the north and south end stations, so they can quickly assess the patient, and if they need transport, the rescue will be on the way to pick them up and transport them. If it's not needed, then the rescue truck is turned around. Everything we carry on the engines, everything we carry on the rescue trucks is carried on the engines. So we carry all the ALS equipment, that's the advanced life support equipment. So everything the rescue truck can do, the engine can do as well, except transport the patient. One of the other reasons is not just triaging the patient, but also getting there and determining whether or not that they need to be transported. If they don't need to be transported, we send the rescue away and we keep them back in service. If they do need to be transported, the engine can turn around much quicker. We can get them back in service as opposed to just sending the rescue truck out of the outlying station. So now it ties up the rescue truck, it ties up those 2 people, and those 2 people in that district are left, are no longer there, and the district is empty. So it's a combination of things. It's a response, it's be able to triage the people, be able to turn around the vehicle much quicker, and then if we do need the ALS treatment, there's a lot of equipment involved. There's cardiac monitors, there's medications, and it's much quicker to be able to work and get that patient packaged up and treated with 4 people than it is with just 2. So that's primarily the reason why we do that. We operate 24/7. There's a fire safety portion of the job. I'll let Dave Arnold get into that. But some of the things you can do as landlords, update your contact information. I'm sure the police chief will mention that, and the building inspector might bring that up as well. Make sure all your contact information with the town is updated. We do have an emergency notification system in the town called Everbridge. You can go on to the department, the town website, narragansett.gov, go to the emergency management portion of the tab there and sign up for Everbridge. You can get emergency notification whenever there is say an impending storm and we have to give out information or anything related to that. We do send out information to the residents. It works on the 911 system, so essentially we have all the 911 information, and we can send that out to every resident in town who's listed under that particular phone number. But there are other phone numbers that you use. There are cell phone numbers, many of you email, many of you text, and we can send out all that information via text, via email, for emergency alerts. We have a new component with our Everbridge, with our emergency notification system that uses social media now. We're in a transition phase where we're converting over to that. So where we'll be able to text information to residents, not only just the residents, but those people who might be renting from you and living in your homes. We can get a hold of renters via text. We can get a hold of college students via text or via social media, such as Facebook or Twitter. So we're going to be marketing that. We're going to be putting that out to the community and being able to send out information related to storms or power outages, things of that nature, and what to do to prepare for that. I'm trying to think of any other questions that you might have had, because I have to be able to leave a little bit later. Is there anything that I can answer real quickly now? Breaking the format, right?
Scott, could I just ask, what's the process for updating information with the town?
Well, you can do it through the rental. We have rental registration, which you can update. The building inspector is not here, but you can go through the building inspector's office and update your information through the building inspector's office, the rental registrations. You can go on to the Everbridge system, like I said, register there, update your information on the Everbridge. And there's a link on our town website that can give you all that information. There's a link also for many emergency preparedness checklists that you can do. The fire marshal will talk briefly about some of the fire safety and prevention things you can do. Questions often come up about open burning, fire extinguishers in the house, smoke detector compliance, CO compliance in the house, and things like that. And he's going to touch briefly upon those things. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. I will mention something that, because I am a fire marshal, there are exits, one behind you, one on the side, one up here. Anytime you have a meeting, you're supposed to announce that. In any event, I'm Dave Arnold. I am the fire marshal. I've been on the Narragansett Fire Department over 25 years. I've been a firefighter for almost 33 years. As far as fire prevention is concerned, as a homeowner, someone who rents their home, it's your responsibility to make sure that your smoke detectors are current. They are not over 10 years old. Your carbon monoxide detectors are not over 7 years old. They are in working order. And as long as they are where they were, if the house was built after 1976, they should be hardwired. Those hardwired detectors must be maintained as hardwired detectors. You cannot put in a battery-operated detector in place of it. When you're renting, it's important to know that before you rent your house, that your detectors are working. Make sure they're in working order, and they haven't been damaged. The renters haven't taken them down or discarded them. If something does happen to one of your smoke detectors during the year, if it starts to malfunction, and the person renting your house calls you and says, hey, my smoke detector isn't working, it needs to be replaced, you are responsible as the homeowner to replace the detector. If for some reason you cannot do it, and they go out and purchase a detector to replace it, they have the right to get reimbursed from the homeowner. Your carbon monoxide detectors, there's always confusion about that. You should have a carbon monoxide detector outside of a sleeping area. The fire code does not say bedroom, it says sleeping area, which means living rooms, dens, any place that you can put a couch, family rooms. If you have a room in the basement, you need to have a carbon monoxide detector outside that room. If there is a fireplace or a wood stove in the room, it needs to be in the room with that device because it emits carbon monoxide. The other question has been, if you have a house that's all electric, do I need a carbon monoxide detector? Technically, no. However, if you have a garage that's attached or underneath the house, you must have a carbon monoxide detector because someone could inadvertently leave something running in the garage, whether it's a lawnmower or a snow blower, car, motorcycle. They emit carbon monoxide, it can get through the house. If you have a gas-fired dryer, we've had incidents where people have disconnected the dryer hose because it was clogged up and they just let the hose emit into the house. That emits carbon monoxide into the house, all right? So it's very important that you have your carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors. The fire code does not give the fire department a lot of jurisdiction in private homes, 1 and 2 family homes, 1, 2, and 3 family homes. Because of the, we always call it the king and his castle rule. You have the right to do what you want in your own home, theoretically. So we don't have a lot of jurisdiction inside the home. Once you get to an apartment building, we have more jurisdiction because that's now a commercial property. And it requires a fire alarm system instead of just 110 smoke detectors or smoke alarms. And I'll just try and shorten this up because I am also long-winded. If you're renting your house, it's also a good idea. You may want to have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. For those of you who are renting to college students, we do have a higher rate of kitchen fires in September and October from college kids. And unfortunately, for some reason, they are not taught how to cook. And when they get to their first time living by themselves or with a group of friends, the one comment that I've heard many times in the past 33 years is, "I didn't know oil burned." All right? It sounds ridiculous, but that comment comes out all the time when someone has a fire in their kitchen and they had oil in a pan, they were getting ready to fry something and they forgot about it and left it on and it just caught on fire and they can't understand why. So, I'll be here to answer. Oh yeah, open burning. Open burning, if you have a fire pit, which is something that is specified in the town ordinance, it's on the town's website under the fire department. It'll be under the regulation open fires. It will tell you what is a fire pit or a fire ring that's legal in the town. About 36 inches in diameter. For a fire ring, any kind of commercially purchased fire pit. If it's a closed fire pit, it'll have a screen on top of it. Those technically do not need a fire permit from the fire department. The reason why we have the permits, we issue fire permits for open burning, is just so we know where people are burning and if the conditions are not safe at that time to be burning, we can let them know you can't burn. You're not supposed to be burning leaves, trash, solid waste, any kind of construction debris, anything with paint on it. Those are all illegal by state statute. DEM does not allow that burning. Burning would be, in a fire pit, would be for small twigs, brush, like campfire type thing. A fire pit needs to be at least 15 feet away from a building, 10 feet away from a property line. If there is a complaint filed where someone actually leaves their name, we have to tell the person who's burning to put it out. If somebody just calls in and says there's someone burning and they don't want to leave their name or address or contact information, we go, as a fire department, the closest engine company will drive by and take a look at it, and if they deem it's not safe, they will ask them to put it out, and if it doesn't seem to be an issue, they'll just tell them, just be careful, don't let it get too big, and they'll allow them to continue burning. We have burning permits that are free of charge. It's just a notification to the fire department. You can go to the local fire station to get them. It's just a certificate that's filled out. We notify the police dispatch in case somebody calls. They know that there's a 5E permit was issued for that location. So if they see smoke, they know, they have an idea what it is.
My name is David Green. I'm one of the two. Bob Ryer's the other one. Bob works during the weekdays, in the daytime. I work late afternoons, and I work weekends, and I work holidays. I'm one of the two people that you see driving around the little white truck with the emblem up there. Primarily, I monitor trash, litter control, and enforce town ordinances at the municipal level. One point I would like to bring up, now that I have an opportunity to, is that many of our trash complaints that we receive are caused or created because of unsecure trash bins that are left out. If the owners of the homes, the property managers, people responsible, could provide one bin per bedroom. So in a 4-bedroom house, if there was 4 bins with secure tops on, it would make things easier for us just to keep that enforcement going. I've been doing this job for a little over a year now. I'm a retired police officer out of Cranston, Rhode Island. I was a police officer for 28 years. I enjoy this very much. I also participate with the police department on Mondays. Myself and Officer will go out and do a meeting with the homes that are going to receive the orange stickers, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and I'm sure they'll get into a little bit later on. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. Otherwise, I'm going to refer this to the chief.
Again, please put your questions on the cards, and if you have them, just put them at the side of the table, and one of our board members will pick them up. Chief Hoxie.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. From the police department aspect, obviously you hear from us all the time. You see us all the time. We're frequently at the council meeting, answer questions from councilmen and women that have concerns or issues that are brought forward by the taxpayers of Narragansett. So this group to us, and I've spoke to Ray about this many times, I email Ray, he puts an email out to all of your membership, and I think that this, as the manager said, it really has been the missing group to this extent. Us having a direct communication with the homeowners and rental agents is key to the success in any of this program. Education is far more effective than enforcement. Enforcement is reactive. Education is proactive and certainly serves more of a long-lasting purpose than us showing up and putting an orange sticker on a house. As Dave mentioned, Paul Beauclair is here. His job every day of the week is to review issues within the neighborhoods, both URI related and not also URI related. On Monday mornings, they go through every single report that's come in over the weekend that's labeled as a noise complaint with disturbance. Paul prints out every report that has any students that are involved with the university. Those reports are brought to Joe, and then Paul and Dave Green go out and visit. If there are houses that need extra attention, Paul and Dave go out and visit those houses. I know after the prior weekend, Monday morning, they visited 3 houses in town. Spoke with the renters. These weren't large, loud parties, but they were the continual nuisance. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, the car doors slamming, the noise, the 5 kids on the back deck, which wasn't a party, but it was continually aggravating to the neighborhood that was calling. Paul and Dave speak with them. Hopefully they get the big picture once they hear what the message is. And most often, that's the end of it. We don't wind up back at those houses. If a group has a social host issue, they have a large party, they have continual nuisance issues, and even after a visit, they're really just not getting it, then they're gonna wind up with the scarlet letter, the orange sticker. So that is a whole other level of enforcement. There is no fine involved directly with that sticker unless we respond back. So our enforcement effort has branched out far more than just responding to a party, closing down that party, and going to the next party, which for the 31 years I've been doing this, that was the approach over 28 of those years. We went to parties, we closed them, we went to the next party. It is clear from reading the reports Monday, I read every report every morning that I'm in, that there is a significant decrease in the number of noise complaints that we're receiving. The number of actual parties is down incredibly. Paul has some statistics he's going to leave here. I communicate those to Ray on almost a weekly basis, so he has the updated figures on what's going on in town. Your efforts, the efforts of this group, are going to continue to improve that situation. We've worked with Joe Robenheimer for a long time, Joe. So
you know, having this group here available to us to reach out to is incredibly important, incredibly beneficial to us, and ultimately to the town. So I appreciate your efforts. I encourage the continued effort. One thing I'll leave with is that I've sent out letters every year to the houses that get news and stickers. Some of the phone calls and letters I get back from property owners, I wind up hanging up the phone shaking my head. From the, how dare you send me a letter, to every other notion on the world that they're not responsible, they rent the house, it's not their problem, deal with the kids. Pam referenced Hawaii, and that was not by accident.
Right.
After the riot, one of the owners of their home lives in Hawaii. And after the scathing letter, or email, he sent me back at the bottom, it said, aloha. Blood pressure, I don't know. I was bouncing across the room. But that's the problem with that type of landlord or homeowner, that it's not my problem. I want the rent, go away. So this group obviously is not that. The more you can encourage folks in town that own rental properties to join, to be responsible, to be proactive with us, the far better off we're gonna be. And I'll answer anything that comes up later.